health can be something of a touchy topic. We don't like to talk about it much.
The problem with mental illness largely is that someone who's mentally ill doesn't know or doesn't want to admit they're mentally ill.
Stigma.
Stigmas behind mental illness. I'm sure, everyone knows someone in their family or a friend.
I think there's so much shame that's attached to it, whether it's the person who has it or the family members who have someone who has it.
First thing comes to mind is this country's kind of abandoned everybody with mental illness. We just don't take care of them anymore.
I think it's unfortunate that mental illness exists. I mean, I can try to treat it and try to help people, but just their ideas of what life is about is totally not what it was intended to be. So.
I think it's unfortunate that we live in a country and in a society where mental illness is often seen as taboo. As somebody who has struggled with anxiety and depression throughout my life, I wish that I felt like I lived in a place that was more compassionate and willing to talk openly about mental illness. A lot of people deal with it, so it's something that needs to come to the surface rather than being under an undercurrent.
I think that everybody's gifted in their own ways, and people might appear to be different or what some would perceive as like lesser, but that's not necessarily the case. Each person has their own special abilities and talents and unique strengths, and even people with what some might call like a mental disorder have strengths in other areas, and most of the time I think are the most like passionate and loving people. And so kind of in short, that's what I think.
You know what, I don't think I actually ever believed in mental illness until I recently became a special education teacher. I thought it was just something that people kind of made up. Until now that I've become a special education, I think I've seen it a little more. And I have two people in my family, as a matter of fact, somebody very close to me is suffering from it. So now that I see that it is a chemical imbalance, and now that I see that help is available, I think it's a huge thing, and I think it's a sad thing, and I think it's something that many people don't realize they suffer from until they're told.
I think it should be talked about more so people know how to deal with it, because you see a lot of times something bad will happen and they'll blame it on a mental illness, but what if somebody could have done something better, like they knew how to react to a situation like that?
There's a false stigma of shame that's around it, which is just further perpetuates the problem and allows it to go untreated, undiagnosed, ignored, and suppressed in an unhealthy way, so that lives are gone, lives are lost, loved ones are lost, and I've seen too many people in my life be affected by mental illness, and even just on a day-to-day basis, you can see it in people and how it affects them in all the different ways, and it shouldn't be ignored. It should be openly talked about. And I think if people were more trusting in just their loved one's ability to love them back, it might be someone, or it might be something that came to the surface more. People are fearful to say that they have it because they're afraid they're going to be judged. When I can't speak for the world. I can speak for myself. Is that I'll just love you more, and what can I do to support you in overcoming where you are?
I think nowadays it has a lot to do with technology and social media. It's giving a lot of people a false sense of who they should be and who they shouldn't be. And I think a lot of people need to focus on being themselves and just getting off their phone and getting away from everything and getting away from everyone else's opinions, because it is really messing us up. If we really want to get better in mass consciousness, we have to get away from all the bad stuff like phones and technology.
There shouldn't be a stigma around it, and it should be okay to talk about it. And I think that we should try to lift each other up and support each other, and basically do it. The golden rule: do unto others as they would do to you. And so, what we should do about it maybe is just have additional education and letting people know that everybody's different in their own way, but everybody has something of value to contribute.